moving on here. Next thing here is Umask. Umask anti-scale. So the Umask is one of those things that can be commonly misunderstood. Up until now, we have used addition to say we want to have the read bit plus the write bit plus the execute bit, and it's going to be a 7. Umask is some people will think it's subtraction, and it's not. We're masking off certain bits, right? So again, those values 4, 2, and 1 come back into play. So let's take a look at the Umask here commands. Umask, do I have this? Okay, so Umask dash capital S and dash lowercase p. So come back to our examples here. If I do Umask by itself, I get 0, 0, 2, 2. And again, that first column, that 0 is again looking at either the set UID, set GID, or a sticky bit, one of those special permissions. Most of the time, we're going to look at just the last 3 here for read, write, and execute. So what I'm going to do here to kind of show example, actually real quick, Umask dash capital S. When I do a dash capital S, this really helps illustrate what permissions you're going to have. And it illustrates a lot that the masking is literally doing that. It's masking away a certain bit. Okay. So we see here that our resulting permission set would be RWX, so 7. We have RNX, so 5, and then 5 for other. Okay. So let's do this kind of just for the sake of illustration. I'm going to do Umask. I'm going to say 0, 0, 0. Okay. Umask dash S. And here we have read, execute, read, write, execute. Again, with not masking off any bits, we have all the files here, all the bits here. Okay. So let's take a look at what happens when I'm creating a file. Go back to my home directory here and do root perms. So I'm going to touch file 0, 0, 0 to just represent what my Umask is right now. Umask. And so we see here now, this here, okay? So notice these permissions here, 6, 6, 6, right? So read, write is 4 plus 2, so 6, 6, 6. So with a Umask, not masking off anything, the default permissions for a file, a regular file being created, is going to be 6, 6, 6. Again, we don't want to have execute bits on just any random file, okay? So that's why by default, it's safer to have it as 6, 6, 6. Now, what if we made a directory? So make dir, let's see, new, say dir dash 0, 0, 0, Umask. Again, just highlighting what our Umask is right now. Notice here our directory now is 777. Again, these are the default permissions for a directory, because in general, we do want to have the execute bit so we can traverse through the directory. Okay. Now, these are both with a Umask of 0, 0, 0. Let's change our Umask here, and it's going to illustrate again how it's doing that. So Umask, I'm just going to say 0, 0, 2. Okay, so I'm going to mask off the write bit from the file, from the permissions, right? So Umask 0, 0, 2. Okay. Umask dash capital S. We see here 2 being write, we're masking that off, right? So if I touch file dash 0, 2, Umask, resulting permissions, where is that file? It's going to be 0, 2 right here. Yeah, result permissions right here is going to be read, write, and then masking off that write bit. So just read for all others. And again, remember that the execute bit's not there by default on a regular file. Let's create a new directory. Make dir, let's do this, 0, 0, 0, 2, dir. Okay, now notice here, with the Umask the 0, we have all permissions. When we're masking off the write bit, we have read and execute on the directory. Okay, so kind of highlights how Umask is used. Now, each user can set their own Umask simply by using this command, right? So Umask, and then set it to whatever they want it to be. But let's say you wanted to have users have a very specific default UMask whenever it's created or whenever they log in. So I'll kind of highlight where that's set up. So for the most part, UMask is set in Etsy profile, okay, which when we log in is red, and then depending on if I'm a root user or not, my UMask is set a certain way. But if I were to modify files in Etsy Scale, right here. For those unfamiliar, Etsy Scale or Etsy Skeleton is the base files that get added to a home directory whenever a user is created. So whenever a home directory is created, files within Etsy Scale will get added to those permissions or get added to that user's directory as well. From here, we could add things like custom aliases, modify the UMask, things like that, right? So I just want to highlight that just a little bit, kind of adjacent permissions, where you might be able to set the default different than what it is currently, okay? As any user yourself, you could modify that in any of your home directory files as well. So cd, so bash profile logout, things like that. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So back to our slides here. Oh, some permission tricks. So I want to go through these real quick. At Rackspace, we are a very heavy CentOS and Red Hat shop. Ubuntu is also in the mix, but a lot of the first things you're going to see are Red Hat and Cent boxes. So I'm going to kind of do some RPM tricks here that I find super useful and have helped a lot of people out on our support floor to kind of either verify things or fix things, depending on what the problem might be. So real quick here, I want to show you just a couple of tricks. So let's see here, RPM, SQA, grep. Okay, so I have Apache installed on my system here. If I do a RPM -- verify, say HTTPD. Okay, so this output here, what this command does, these are permissions adjacent, but I want to show you what this command does. This command here says, hey, what has changed from the defaults or the default settings when the package was installed? And what this is telling me here is the timestamp has changed, okay? All of these representations are in the man page for RPM. I'm just gonna highlight the ones we're talking about now. Let's say that I made a mistake and I did chmod 777 on Etsy hbd conf hb.conf, right? And that's not what we want, right? But let's say I recursively did it and it was a mistake. Oh, dang. Well, if I RPM verify, I see, oh, I now see that the permissions or the mode of the file has been changed from the default. Okay. Well, one thing we can do, because all this is saved, is RPM set perms. So RPM -- set perms, and we'll say HBD. No output, but if we go back here and verify again, it has changed the values back to what they should be, right? 6, 4, and 4. Okay. One more little quick trick. It's not in the slides, but I always like showing this just in case somebody needs to see it today. RPM -QL HBD. What that does is that lists out all of the files that are part of that package. Now that could be a lot, but that's depending on package to package. But one thing is nice also, but instead of QL, let's do a QC. And it will show me all the configuration files that came with that package. If I'm working with new packages I'm not that sure about, well then I can do RPM QC and get just config files. And it'll give me a place where to start looking for things. Okay, just a quick trick for that as well. I have not found an equivalent for dpackage or apt-get, but there might be one out there. So.